effect is the effect that when the bullet leaves the barrel of the gun, it is actually leaving the surface of the earth. So as the bullet leaves the barrel of the gun, the earth is still rotating, and the bullet is not rotating with the earth. So the earth will actually rotate out from underneath of the bullet while it is in flight.
So bullets and artillery shells no longer rotate with the earth when they leave the surface. And according to this explanation, paper aeroplanes act in the same way.
So imagine you were standing in Texas and had a magic paper airplane that could travel hundreds of miles. If you threw your airplane directly northward, you might think it would land straight north, maybe somewhere in Nebraska. But Texas is actually spinning around Earth's axis faster than Nebraska is, because it's closer to the equator. That means that the paper airplane is spinning faster as well, and when you throw it, that spinning momentum is conserved. So if you threw your paper airplane in a straight line toward the north, it would land somewhere to the right of Nebraska, maybe in Delaware. So from your point of view in Texas, the plane would have taken a curved path to the right.
If this is the case for bullets, artillery shells and paper airplanes, then why is it not the same for real aeroplanes? Airplanes do not aim north to go east. In fact, if aircraft no longer rotate with the Earth when they leave the surface, then east to west flights should take much longer than west to east flights. And landing on a moving runway would seem to be quite tricky. Every landing should be like this. And wouldn't there be planetary direction indicators by runways, just like there are wind direction indicators? So why is the Coriolis effect so selective? How can there be a high pressure system next to a low or negative pressure system without movement from high to low? So the conventional answer is that gravity holds the air to the Earth. But if I was to evacuate a container to a fraction of the perfect vacuum of space, turn it upside down and puncture the bottom, what do you think would happen? Well, the air would rush in and fill the container. So, how does this much weaker vacuum manage to overcome the much stronger gravity near the surface? How is it that you can heat the air and it will rise against the force of gravity? Wouldn't the air leave the Earth once the sun heats the air? If gravity is the only thing holding the air to the surface of the Earth against the tendency of a high pressure system to escape to a low or negative pressure system, then when the air is heated and so is less affected by a gravitational pull, shouldn't it then succumb to the force exerted towards a region of negative pressure? If, as current scientific opinion suggests, a high pressure system can exist adjacent to a negative pressure system, then there should be a boundary condition of equilibrium where the force towards pressure equalization equals the opposing force of gravity. Thus, any change to the conditions on either side should disturb the equilibrium. Wouldn't a rising column of warm air disturb that boundary layer? So, how are we breathing right now? Eratosthenes' calculation of the Earth's circumference is dependent on the light from the Sun being parallel, as it should be if the Sun is 93 million miles away. But anyone can go out on a sunny day with broken cloud and see that the light that arrives on the Earth is not parallel. The light rays come down at angles, indicating that the Sun is actually very close. Now, the official explanation is that the Earth's atmosphere refracts the Sun's light, and that's why the light comes down at diverging angles. So, if the light from the Sun is always refracted, then that would mean that Eratosthenes' calculation was made with refracted light, and therefore must be wrong, and the Earth must be much, much smaller. So which is it? It seems to me that if you still claim that Eratosthenes' calculations are correct, then the light cannot be refracted. But if the light is not refracted, then the Sun is close. And if the Sun is close, then for Eratosthenes to observe what he did, the Earth must necessarily be flat.
Hello, it's me. You know, indoctrination started while we were still naive, programming our beliefs. That inertia is the reason we don't feel the earth spinning. Hello, can you hear me? Did you ever stop to question the confession of gravity as a theory? Funny thing, force alone can be explained with buoyancy and density. The sun is closer than what they've told us, not 90 million miles away. Hello from the inside, I'm here to tell you not to lie. And there never was a space probe, and those planets you've left so wandering stars. Operation Fishbowl, there never was a South Pole. We're surrounded by walls of ice, and we clearly live inside of a glass door. Hello, how are you? Did you get a chance to join Flat Earth and Globe discussion group to discover all the truth? How the sun, the moon, the stars are all revolving around you. There's no more secret. The Earth is stationary.